The moment the CEO's son walked in wearing $1,000 suit and talking about innovation, I knew the airlines was going to crash long before any plane ever did. I had worked operation for 11 years at a regional airline based out of New York. Most passengers never knew people like me exist. They saw smiling kids, agents, pilots, and flight attendants. They never saw the operation floor hidden behind locked doors and buzzing fluorescent lights. This room was the real heartbeat of the airline. Cold air blasted from broken vents year round. All monitors flickered non-stop. Radio scream update every few seconds. Someone was always drinking burnt coffee while trying to stop the next disaster before sunrise. And disaster always came early. At 4 in the morning, storms were already hammering the Carolines. Boston departure was taking up because of fog. Chicago had ground delays spreading across three terminals. Half the system was close to collapsing before most people even opened their eyes. This was my job. I work a scheduling system and call Skybridge, an ancient mess of software held together by pages, shortcuts, and pure fear. Most executives barely understood it. A wrong command could delay hundreds of passengers in minutes. I understood every corner of it. By 5:20 a.m., I had rerouted crew, swept aircraft, shifted maintenance, window and prevented cancellation. That would have cost of the airline millions. Nobody applauded, nobody even noticed. Then Earth Mercer walked onto the operation floor. CEO son fresh MBA, perfect haircut, expensive watch. Right behind him was his finance. Vanessa holding a tablet like she was filming a documentary. Ethan smiled at everyone and said, I'm here to bring fresh perspective and modernize the company. Nobody looked up from their screen because real storm were already heading. At noon, they called boardroom meeting, and that was when I realized the company was truly in trouble. The presentation started with bright slide, smooth music, and what nobody on the operation floor ever trusted: optimization, automation, staff reduction, efficiency. Ethan stood at the front smiling like he had already saved the company. Vanessa sat beside him, typing notes on her tablet. Every time nobody, I looked around the room and realized something terrifying. Not one person giving the presentation had ever worked a winter storm shift. Then Ethan pulled up the Melwick expansion plan. He wanted to replace smaller regional aircraft with larger jets to maximize route profitability. The problem was simple. Milewake secondary runway physically could not handle their traffic volume safely during bad weather. I explained it calmly. The runway spacing, design delays, taxi congestion, all of it would create chain reaction back up across the network. Ethan leaned back in his chair and smiled. That sounds like outdated thinking, he said. This company needs innovation, not fear. That was the moment I knew Echo had officially replaced experience. The collapse started fast. Within 2 weeks, senior operations staff were pushed out. Our night monitoring team were cut even though cargo flights still move all night. How working automation tools replace experienced dispatch coordinator. And Vanessa followed me around asking questions that made no sense. Why do you manually verify weather routes? Why do you seem resistant to change? Then came the HR email with no subject line. I already knew before the meeting. I quietly moved every custom Skybridge script I had personally built into my secure employee directory, completely legal, completely compliant. They never even noticed. Inside the HR office, Ethan folded his hands. dramatically, while Vanessa called me negative and toxic to modernization. 11 years disappeared in 7 minutes. I stood up, grabbed my bag, looked directly at Ethan. You think you brought a self-operation machine, I said calmly, but you just fired the only person who knew how to drive it. At exactly 3:30, the system refreshed and failed to reconnect it to the routine architecture tied to my credential. I was sitting in a quiet bar near the airport with a glass of tequila and live flight tracker open on my phone. At first, it looked small. One delay departure out of Chicago, then Boston lost two gate assignment. Then three flight crew disappeared from dispatch scheduling because the automation system could not rebuild the routing chain without my Skybridge secret. 5 delay become 20. Fuel schedules started duplicating themselves. Aircraft were assigned to gates already occupied. Cargo routes vanished completely from our night port, and then the FAA issued a ground stop. The entire island froze. Passengers across the country were stranded within a hour. News stations started reporting unaccepted operational failure. Before sunset, my phone would not stop vibrating. Ethan called 7 times. Vanessa texts me, please act professionally during this difficult transaction. I blocked both numbers and heard later. Another called me through Richard Mercer, the actual founder of the airline and Ethan's father. His voice sounded older than I remember. Come back tonight, he said. I will fire Ethan. I will fire Vanessa. Name your price. For a few seconds, I just started at the runway lights outside the bar window. Then I answered quietly. You let them destroy. Now you have to live with it. I hang up. 2 days later, a competing airline offered me consulting contract worth 3 times my old salary. Ethan was fired the following week. 6 months later, the airline itself was sold off piece by piece. Sometimes I still miss the operation floor, the screen, the pressure, solving impossible problem before sunrise while the rest of the world slept. But I learned something from all of it. Companies love to call workers replaceable, right, until they discover exactly how expensive replacement really is.